We face an interesting challenge when people have let us down or behaved badly. We have this natural tendency that's a little bit dangerous. And the tendency is this: we want to fix stuff. We want to jump in and just fix it. We see somebody let us down and we go, well, I'm going to fix this problem. That's what we do. That's what we get paid for. We're fixers. The problem is, do we know what we're really fixing? We need to take a moment to diagnose before we prescribe. In fact, I want you to think of it this way. Imagine that you're sick, that you're just really sick. You're feverish, you're achy all over. I hope nobody out there is like that right now. But just imagine you're in that situation. So you go to the doctor to get some help. The nurse takes you into the examination room. You wait in there for a little while for the doctor. The doctor walks in, hands you a prescription and says, here, do this. Doesn't ask you any questions, doesn't take any vital signs, but gives you a prescription and says, that'll take care of you, and he leaves. Now, what kind of potential problems does that create? Okay, for starters, on the light side, maybe it doesn't fix your problem. But on a more serious side, it could create some additional problems, even some more dangerous problems than what you've already got. But do we do that when we're seeing the behavior of other people? When we see somebody let us down, do we stop and diagnose, or do we just jump in and prescribe? Let me give you an illustration of how this happens in life, and it's an illustration from my son. Now, there's something you need to know about one of my sons. He is a percussionist. Let me define percussionist for you. Percussionists play anything that they can hit. And then they actually make it sound musical at the same time. So he's a percussionist. And he knew that he wanted to be a percussionist pretty early in his life. So when he was in high school, he was in all sorts of different musical groups. So the boss of the high school percussionist is who? It's the band teacher, right? We got an email about the middle of his junior year from the band teacher. And it went like this. He said, your son's doing great in percussion ensemble and in drumline, and he's helping a lot with our wind orchestra. But he just doesn't seem to care about jazz band. Now, listen for the diagnosis here, the diagnosis that the band teacher's making. He said, he's not doing it right, and I try to explain to him what he needs to do differently, and he just doesn't seem to care. And he's not getting any better. So I've tried talking to him about it nicely. I've tried yelling at him. I've tried taking him off the song and putting another student on to play in his place. And nothing's working. He's just not getting any better. Now, what's the diagnosis that the band teacher made there? Why does he think that my son is not performing well in jazz band? Yeah, he doesn't care. He's not sufficiently motivated. So he pulls out his motivation tools, right? And he's going to tell him why it's important, or he's going to beat him up with it a little bit, or he'll put him in kind of punishment mode where he takes him off and puts somebody else on. Curious. So my wife and I sat down with our son and said, here's the email that we got from your band teacher. Help us understand your perspective on this. Now, diagnose with me. He kind of rolled his eyes and sighed, and he said, I have no idea what he wants me to do differently. He keeps telling me, you need to do that better. And I said, what's better? And he says, just do it right. Now, what you need to know, the first thing, this is the band teacher's first year teaching, okay? He's also focused on the saxophone. He's a saxophone player. And he understands what jazz drumming is supposed to sound like, but he can't quite explain how to do it to my son. So diagnose with me. What is the real issue? What's the real reason that my son's not performing well in jazz band? What do you think? Yeah, he doesn't know how. He has an ability problem, not a motivation problem. Now think about this. The band teacher sees it as a motivation problem, pulls out his motivation tools, and what's the impact on the problem? Doesn't help, does it? Yeah, because I've got the wrong diagnosis, or I got the right solution for the wrong problem. Okay? Now, it doesn't help fix the ability problem, but what does it do to the motivation? It actually takes it down instead of bringing it back up. Do we do that with the people that disappoint us in life and in business? We see that they let us down, and we jump immediately to, I got to motivate this person. We're going to be much more effective if we take that pause before we start to prescribe, to diagnose, to ask why. That's the first mistake we make, is we forget to ask why. The second mistake we make is we ask why, and then we come back with an overly simplistic answer and go, it's because they don't care. And we don't open ourselves up to, could it be motivation or ability or a combination of both those things? And once we've diagnosed, we're going to be much more effective at solving the problem and maintaining strong relationships by making that diagnosis first.